Hello there, saints, and welcome to Saved and Justified with me, Lebogang Chisiza. I hope everybody's well. I'm well. I'm still in good spirits as always. And today I'm here with a message about prayer. So this revelation happened when I was sitting and I was just in my quiet time, but I was thanking God for everything He had done for me, and I was thanking Him for answered prayers. Then I realized that these prayers that He has answered, they were not things that I prayed for like all at once, and they were not prayed for in the same period of time. They were ones that I prayed for like a year ago, over a year ago, 3 months ago. Like there were different times that I prayed for these things. And so the Holy Spirit made me realize that prayer is a process. There is a strategy to prayer. And this is what I'm going to share with us today. So when 1 Thessalonians 5 verse 17 says, pray, simply pray without ceasing. Sometimes I feel like we take it as if it's like, okay, pray without ceasing because we're trying to twist God's hand. But that's not the purpose of it. And that's what was revealed to me, that prayer is like a sowing and reaping process. Yep. It is a sowing and reaping process, and it is only when we understand this will we understand why we have to pray without ceasing. So the process starts with sowing a seed. When you are planting, you sow a seed. That's prayer. So your first prayer is when you sow a seed. That's your initial request. That's your initial prayer to God. It is when you are sowing a seed. So in that sowing a seed, we know, like every person who is a sower, every farmer knows that if you do gardening, you know that there is a certain soil that you have to plant your seeds or sow your seeds. And this is good soil. Even in Matthew, Jesus says with the parable of the sower that there's some that sow on tares, there's some that sow on thorns, there's some that sow on the wayside, and nothing good comes of it. So even with us, we need to sow on good soil. But what is good soil for us in prayer? In this context, good soil is faith. For whatever you pray for, if you believe that you have received it, then you will receive it. So it's all based on faith. The soil that we put our prayer in is faith. Simply put, every time you pray, if you pray without ceasing, without faith, you are wasting your breath. But if we get into the habit that which I'm praying for, this conversation I'm having with God, I really believe that He's going to give it to me, then certainly He will give it to us. So the good soil for prayer is faith. Number 2, in this process of prayer, is fertilizer. Fertilizer is a means of expediting the process of growth for that seed to make it faster. And with us, sometimes our prayers needs to be expedited. But how do we put fertilizer? What is fertilizer in this context of prayer? Fertilizer in the context of prayer is fasting. It goes along with prayer. So when you fast without prayer, you are just dieting. You are just on a hunger strike. But you need to put fasting with prayer. Of course, you can pray without fasting, but if you want to expedite the process, then you use fasting. Daniel did the same thing. If you read Daniel, we know the story of Daniel. When he was fasting for his 21 days, and the angel came to him and told him that they had heard his prayer on the first day that he prayed, and that the angel said to him that I have come here because of the words you spoke. So Daniel was fasting, and this word he spoke is prayer. So it was two together, and because of that prayer was actually heard on the first day. It expedited the process. Yes, it arrived late, but because there's principalities that they had to fight with, but that's a different story altogether. But that is to say that when you fast and pray, you are expediting the process. So you can do that in your part of praying. So that is praying without ceasing. Pray, sow a seed in good faith. In faith, that's your good soil. If you desire this thing to be expedited, fertilize it, which is fast. And then the last one, number 3, what is the point of sowing if you're not going to water your seed? That's the third thing. Everybody knows that they need to water their seed, otherwise it's going to dry out, otherwise it's going to die. So in this context, water is our declarations and our confessions. Yes. What we say in this process of waiting for this prayer to be answered. What we say in this process of praying without ceasing. You pray without ceasing. You go to work. Then what are you saying with your mouth? Because the mouth, the mouth is the power. The mouth is the power of death. In the mouth is the power of death and life. And those who love it will eat the fruit of it. Those who love it will eat the fruit of it. The fruit that you eat is because of what you are saying with your mouth. So are you speaking life or are you speaking death? Right? So in this process, that if you're praying for something, for example, if you're praying for a husband, simple, you're praying for a husband, but then you keep on declaring things like, all men are dogs. All men are dogs. Or I'll never find a husband in this place. There's no more good husbands left. Or, oh, I'm old. Am I ever going to get married? This is what you're declaring. This is what you're confessing. What are you doing? You are uprooting that seed that you sowed in the initial request. You are just doing like you're going back 2 steps forward, 10 steps back, and you don't see it. And at the end of the day, I think what we like to do is we like say that God is delaying or God is not answering our prayers, while in the meantime, we are the ones that keep on digging out the seed. We keep on not watering it. It's drying out. We are killing it and we don't see it and we blame God. So we need to get into the habit to watch what we say about the things. In general, we should actually watch what we say, because really in the time there is power for death and life, really. So if we get into the habit of speaking life in everything in our lives, then we won't even have this challenge of, I prayed for something, I need to watch what I say, because we would be in that habit of always speaking life into things, into our lives, into our daily activities. So that's the third thing, water. So those 3 things in prayer. You must sow a seed in a soil of good faith. You must fertilize it if you need to, and that is fasting. And you must water your seed of prayer by confessing and declaring only positive. So if you're praying for your husband, the positive you'll declare is that your husband will find you, is that you'll start declaring or confessing that you're a good wife. You'll start confessing that you're positioned correctly for a husband. You will stay away and not join people who are singing that all men are bad. Stay away from those conversations, because we don't know what prayer they're praying. We are praying serious prayers and we are waiting for that prayer. And then just to add, also, while you're waiting for the prayer, we need to get into the habit of not comparing ourselves to other people. Because as we said, prayer, the initial request is a seed. But remember, we are not all planting the same seed. We are planting different types of seeds, which means whatever fruit is going to come out of that seed is different from everybody else's. So me sitting here and looking at the next sister and saying, but she prayed. And you know, when people testify, that's when you listen. I prayed a month ago and this year I received it. Then you think, but how is that possible? Because I've been praying for 6 months and I still haven't received it. I don't even see a sign that I'm going to receive it anytime soon. We mustn't do that. We did not plant the same seed. No one plants the same seed. And even if we do plant the same seed, let's say we are all praying for our husband. However, the soil is different. The texture of the soil is different. Also, the type of marriage is different. Whatever is called for that sister, for her marriage, is different from what your marriage will be called for. Marriage is a ministry. Perhaps yours is one that's going to shake hell, and of course there's going to be adversaries. Just like Daniel and the prince of Persia, you might receive the same thing. That's another reason to pray without ceasing, because you don't know what you are asking for. For you, I think I've shared a video about this in terms of waiting for God, that for you it might simply be marriage. For God, he might simply be wanting to open a mega church. For you, it might simply be fruit of the womb. For God, it might be John the Baptist in coming. So there's no point in us comparing. We're just wasting our own time, because it's different type of fruits or trees. There's mango trees, there's apple trees, there's oak trees. There's some that you don't even see a flicker of like a little bud coming out of the ground until after years. And you might feel like nothing is happening, God is not hearing. But the minute it's time, then it shoots up. So then people will be celebrating you. But through that process of waiting, you mustn't give up. We must not never give up, and we must not confess badly on that. Like, did I plant in a good soil? If you know in your heart that you have faith, if you know you're not wavering in your faith, if you know that you're not digging out your own seed, then stay, wait, keep on fertilizing, keep on watering your seed, and then you will see in due season, in due time, for your type of fruit that you need to harvest, it will come to life. It will come into full manifestation. Then you will eat the fruit of it. Then you will also testify, and you will also be celebrated. So this is just my message today, that prayer is a process. We need to see prayer as strategic. We can't just go into prayer haphazardly. We need to see it as a process, and we need to understand that our mouth is important, what we say with our mouths. And we also need to take and heed to 1 Thessalonians 5:17, pray without ceasing. But now we will do it with a better understanding, not like we just talking for the sake of praying because they're saying we mustn't stop praying, not like we're trying to twist God's hand. No, because we know that there is a reason we're doing that. We are watering, we are fertilizing our seeds of prayers. So that is my message for you today. Thank you for joining me.